Cambridge ICT 23 June paper 31 web authoring. In this particular exam, you were only supplied with just one file, and that was a little bit strange because you are normally supplied with many files to build the website using them. But that exam was a little bit shocking for some students because you were only supplied with just one file, and that file was used with with a spreadsheet, and no files to use with web authoring. But the web authoring task here is very, very small. However, they all belong to the tasks in the new syllabus. So it was shocking for candidates who didn't study the new syllabus. Okay, let us first do the evidence, because in all exams, you need to do the evidence, especially for web authoring. For web authoring, everything is all your work will be collected in the evidence file, and when you print the evidence file, you will be awarded. Okay, so this exam says task 1 evidence document, create a new word process document and make sure your name, center number, candidate number will appear on every page of the document. Save this document in your work area. Your work area means that folder. Okay, save it with the file name J2331 evidence underscore center number underscore candidate number. Okay, so here in your work area, right click and new Microsoft Word, and give it that name and open it. Make sure your name, center number, candidate number will appear on every page of this document. So you insert header and use a blank header and type here your name, EG 0070001. And you close the header and you press on button save and keep this file for screenshots or evidence. Okay, you will use this as your evidence document during the examination. Task 2 is the spreadsheet. Let us skip this, but we only want to point that here the spreadsheet task was 42 marks. Okay, and the total exam marks is 70. This means the only marks left for web page, you have 6 marks here and 22 marks here, and it is 20. Okay, sometimes they don't divide marks equally between web authoring and a spreadsheet, so that a student may not say, okay, I know one of them, I don't need to know the other. Okay, because sometimes you get all the marks on the thing you didn't do. Okay. Okay, let us now do task 3 web page. You are working as part of a team of web developers at Tawara Web. Everything they call it Tawara something. Okay, and have been asked to create parts of a web page for a client. Okay, let us see, because we have very little things to do. However, those little things are very, very new. So it was a bit of shock for students sitting that exam. Let us first do that step, because that step is not difficult at all. You already have an idea what a CSS file is. A CSS file is a style sheet file where you can put colors for backgrounds and you can put styles. This exam is asking you for something very easy and very common regarding the question about the style sheet. Okay, so you have to create a style sheet. Okay, let us use SharePoint Designer, because SharePoint Designer is very useful writing codes for me. When it cannot write a code, then you have to memorize it and learn it. Maybe I have to teach it from the mark scheme, and further on, you have to know it by heart, because in the final, there is no mark scheme to copy from. Okay, so we have to create a style sheet. To be added you have to create a CSS. Okay, CSS comes from cascading style sheet. To be added to an external style sheet to meet these specifications. Okay, let us open SharePoint Designer and come with a CSS file. Okay, so please open here SharePoint Design. Okay, the problem is now you have an HTML file. This is a .html file, and in an HTML file you have some HTML codes. And from previous exams, they always say, make sure your CSS do not have any HTML code. Okay, let us get rid of that file because it will not help us. Just close it. I would like to create an empty CSS file. Click on the arrow beside that blank document and select from here CSS. Okay, now we have a .css file. And in that CSS file, there is no code. There is no HTML code, and they always demand for this. Okay? That question is really strange. They didn't ask you to save. They didn't give you a file name to save. Okay, I will not save. I will not save. But I'm a little bit worried that if something happens to my computer, the unsaved work will be gone. Okay, I will not save. I will not save. The exam is asking for one little thing. Set the font for H1, H2, H3, and paragraph style is P. Okay? And every time they just ask for that code to be as efficient as possible. So you cannot set for H1 separately and set for H2 separately. It will not be efficient at all. So we will create a new style, and this will be called a group style for H1, H2, H3, P. Okay, let us do this. Let us do this. So go back to SharePoint Designer, and if you like to create a new style, click on that button on the right that is called New Style. Okay, delete the name and delete the dot. Delete the dot. Dot creates a class, and I will be teaching you how to create a class in Specimen 2023, because that dot associated with creating a class is new to our syllabus. Okay, we will do it next. We will do it next. I will call this H1, H2, H3, P. And all of them are lowercase. So you are creating a style for H1, so you are also creating for H1 and H2, you are creating for H1, H2, H3, P. Okay, this is the group style we are going to. Just one step and we will do everything. Okay, now we were working on H1, H2, H3, P. The style paragraph is in SharePoint Designer or in web authoring is called style P. It comes from paragraph. Okay, so that the browser selects and display the font Calibri. If this font is not available, the browser selects and display the font Helvetica New. And if neither of these fonts is available, the browser should display its default sans serif. It is very simple. It is very simple. We will go in here in that font family and write those three alternatives separated by commas in the given order. And then it will be up to the browser to select whatever font is available according to levels of priority. So first, please put here in the font Calibri, of course, without the dot, and followed by a comma. So now you have Calibri, comma. And then next, put the font Helvetica New. So go into here and type Helvetica New. And then comma, and type the font sans-serif. Now you have specified the required font in the required priority. Okay, so Calibri will be the priority or the choice number one. And if the browser cannot find Calibri in its library, it will go for Helvetica New. There is a little bit of an issue with Helvetica New. The font name has a space in it. Helvetica New, that font name with a space should be surrounded by double quotation. SharePoint Designer is very kind. Will be putting the the speech mark for you. Will be putting the speech mark for you. Okay, let us look at what is here in SharePoint Designer. So, because look at the code here. Helvetica New will have double quotation. Will have a speech mark before and speech mark after. And this is automatically. And then when you click OK, look at the code. Look at, yeah, look at the code. Because I would like you to be responsible of understanding and fixing errors with codes and writing codes manually. Because I'm sure that this may appear in a theory exam. Let us read the code and study it. H1, H2, H3, P, and this is a group code, a group style. And then the SharePoint is creating a curly bracket for you. This is the correct code. Okay. And then font dash family, colon, Calibri, comma, and Helvetica New is surrounded by speech mark. And SharePoint Designer created this for you. Comma, sans dash serif, and then terminated by a semicolon. Please study this, semicolon. Please study this, because you may see some codes with mistakes in a theory exam, and then you don't have software to support you or allow. Okay. What else? That's it for a style sheet. Take a copy, place a copy of your CSS in your evidence document. So please highlight this and then copy. And this is the evidence file. Paste and click on button save as soon as you paste something in the evidence. And that was worth 6 marks. Okay, that's it. That is the shortest style sheet ever. Okay. Let us go and continue with that question, because here I have 22 marks and they are all kind of new. Okay. Create all the head section of a web page to meet these specifications. This is an HTML file. This is gonna be an HTML file. So if you want SharePoint Designer to assist you with creating these codes, you need to create an HTML file. Let us go back to SharePoint Designer. You have here CSS, and it is unsaved. Okay, I'm not comfortable with that, because that's asterisk mean this file is not saved. But actually, I took a copy of that code and I had it in my evidence, and I safely saved the evidence. Okay, let us now create an HTML file. So please go to this blank button and click on that arrow, and please create an HTML file. Create HTML file. Okay, now you have, this is the old file and it is already there in case you may like to change your mind and update something. And this is your HTML file. In an HTML file, you have two views. You have the code view and you have the design view. As much as possible, I will be using the design view, because with the design view, SharePoint Designer will be writing codes for you. Not 100%, but most of the code for you. And I can learn from the codes created by SharePoint Designer, or at least have a template where I may copy and paste and change things I would like to do. Okay, let us go back to the code. Let us take this chance and study what's in this code, because you're responsible of knowing everything in this code. Let us have a chance of studying this code. Okay, this is the code for an empty page. So this is the simplest. Okay, let us have a look. At the very first line, we have angle bracket. This is greater than or smaller than, but I keep calling them angle brackets because now they function as brackets. Okay, so there is an angle bracket and then exclamation mark. With an exclamation mark, you are now creating or having a comment. A comment is some text written in your file that will be just appearing in your file and has nothing to do. It will have nothing to do with your code. Okay. An HTML file begins with HTML and ends with /HTML. Okay? Okay. In an HTML, and don't bother yourself with that. Maybe it's some source referencing some source or something. Okay? Just don't bother with that. Let us read what's in here. This is head, and this is end of head, and this is body, and this is end of body. You can learn from this that an HTML file is divided into two parts: the header part and the body part. The header part is the part that contains properties of the page, and then the body part will contain the text and the picture and everything contained in that page. Sometimes later we will be saying that this is the presentation layer. It's later on. And this will be the content layer. Okay? Okay. The exam is asking you to create the head section. So you only need to create all what is necessary between head and end of head. Okay? They will only ask you for things in here. Okay? Okay. Section, okay. Let's still have a look at what is already written. It says the first thing is angle bracket meta. Meta is some elementary information about the page that will be hidden inside the page. It will not appear for users of the web page. It will not appear in the browser. But however, it will have some properties of the page, like, for example, the character set, because there are different character sets. We will use the one written index. Also, some information about the author of this page. And this is another meta. Metadata is some hidden data. Okay, we will create a meta tag for the author, a meta tag for the content, a meta tag for keywords. We will create several meta tags. Hopefully, SharePoint Designer will create most of them for you. Okay, and here you have title, end of title, and this is the title part of the page. Okay? Okay, let us go and see what do we have to do. Title for the web page is weather data. Okay, there are two ways of doing this. You may hear, instead of that untitled one, you just type or copy weather data. Okay, but I'm afraid that you may touch angle brackets or delete angle brackets. I have a safer way. Okay, okay. Instead of writing directly in the code, don't write directly into the code until there is no other way. There is another way. Please go back to the design. Anything related to the header part or anything related to the page properties will be in the window. Please, anywhere, right click and select page properties. Anywhere in the page, right click and select page properties. Okay, everything will be done through this window. Okay, as you can see, you have something called title. You type in here weather space. Okay, and when you click OK and go to the code, you will see that title, end of title, in between them, you have weather data. You could have written that yourself. It's okay. But I'm just worried if you delete or overwrite and damage the code. Okay? Okay. So that was easy. Right-click page properties and then title of the page. Okay. And then let us look at about these 5 meta tags. 5 meta tags. Okay, let us have a look on them. Set the character encoding to ISO whatever. Let us look at what is written in the code. You have meta, type dash whatever. This is totally unnecessary for me. Okay. Let us keep this for the last thing. At the end, char set, what is written here in that file, at the end we have char set equal UTF-8. At the end, we will replace that char set because char set is the character set. We will replace that char set with that ISO whatever. Okay, please keep this at the end. We will do it at the end because probably we will be memorizing it and doing it exactly as the market. The name, we would like to set another meta tag. The name of the author, Tawara Web, followed by a space and your name. We also would like to set the web page description to weather data. We also to set the viewpoint. This is the most difficult. We will keep it to the end. An appropriate meta tag keywords for your search engine of this way. You would rather put some keywords because search engines like Yahoo or Google search can collect these keywords, and when somebody is looking for those keywords, he probably be directed to your webpage. Okay, now I need to set these 5 things. Let us first go back to design, okay, and right-click page properties. Right-click page properties, anywhere. Right-click page properties. Let us have a look at that window and pick up the things that are already there because they are the easiest. Let us pick up the things that are already there and achieve them. Page description. There is something called page description. Please, this is the web page description. Please copy this. So in the page description, copy this. Weather data for the Tawara region. And please mind for spelling mistakes. Okay? And also mind for upper and lower case. Okay? Okay? Let us click OK. Look at the code. Okay? And go to the code and study the code. Because what is new here? Now in the end of head section, we have meta. No, we have this. We have this meta. Name equal description. Content equal weather data for the Tawara section, and then slash, and this the end of the tag. Okay, this is correct. And please study this style because maybe you need to type it in a theory exam. Okay, let us also do the keywords because I can see it. Go back to the code, right-click page properties, because I can see there is a space for keywords. Okay, unfortunately, you have to invent keywords yourself. What keywords? Okay, let me tell you what was in the mark scheme. It is talking about Tawara. So please put one of the keywords Tawara and then comma. And it's also talking about weather. So please put in the keywords weather or anything relevant. I think the exam will reward you for it, as long as you have the right coding. SharePoint Designer will be doing the coding for me. Okay, now I have keywords. Let us click OK and go to the code. So as you can see, a new line is written now. Meta name quotation keywords contents equal key quotation Tawara comma weather. This is correct. We will be looking now at the mark scheme. Okay. Okay. Next, what shall we do? We would like to do the author. The exam is asking you to create another meta. Now you know what a meta is. A meta tag is. These, the things you have right now. Okay, memorize them. Okay, the exam is asking you to create another meta, and the name of that another meta tag will be author. And the content of that meta tag will be Tawara Web, followed by a space and your own name. Okay, let us go back. Please, let us go back to design. Let us right-click page properties. Unfortunately, we don't have that author. We don't have that author. Let us look for somewhere where we can create an author. Let me guide you. Please go to custom. Okay, as you can see here, you have 2 meta tags you already created. One for the description and the other is for the keyword. Okay, I would like to add another one. You may click on that button. Click on that button to create a new tag. And the name of it will be author. Please type here author. And the content will be Tawara Web, followed by a space and then your own name. So space and then put your name. Okay, so now you can create tags. Okay, okay, click OK. And as you can see, it is listed here. Click OK and go to the design and have a look. Now you have another meta tag that is name equal author, content equal Tawara and Tawara Web and then your name. Okay. Okay, we are done with most of it. We still have to do a viewport. We need to set viewport. What is that viewport? When you create a web page, your web page may be visited and displayed using a laptop where the screen is really big. Or your web page may be visited or displayed on the browser on a laptop on a smartphone. Then at that time, the width of the screen is much narrower. I would like to give a command where the viewport, the size of your web page, is equal to the device size. Okay, so we'd like to create another meta tag called viewport. Okay, and take the width of the device. It will be something width dash device. Okay, with an initial scaling of 2. Okay, there is no way that SharePoint Designer can do that totally automatically for you. It can do this partially. Okay, let us go back to the design, right click, page properties, and go to custom, and then add. The new name will be viewport. The new name will be viewport. What about the contents? Okay, we have to check that from the mark scheme and see how this is done and then study and memorize. Because SharePoint Designer cannot do this. Of course, knowledge about it is mentioned in my notes, and my knowledge about it is mentioned in the original text. Okay, but let us do it now from the mark scheme and keep it in our mind, and then we go to the notes and see more information about it. Okay, this is the mark scheme. I have here the mark scheme to study the code for viewports. So meta name equal viewport. We already have this because we went to custom and created a new name. Content quotation. Okay, let us study this and you copy it now in the content and learn it by heart and understand the meaning. Width equal device dash width. This command will allow the browser to see the width of the device, whether it is a laptop with a very wide screen or a smartphone with a very narrow wide screen. And the content and the width of your web page will be equal to the width of the device. Okay, so this means width equals device dash width, comma, initial dash scale, because the exam is asking, initial dash scale will be 2.0. So right now, all what we can do is that we copy this. We copy this in SharePoint Designer in the value field. And hopefully you understand this very well and use it again whenever you are asked for. Okay, so this is the mark scheme for you to copy. So please make sure you understand what you're writing. Also, memorize it so that if you get a similar task, you know what to do. Okay, and then we will go to the notes and we will learn about it more in the textbook. Okay, and then if you click OK here, and then OK, and go to the design, you will find that SharePoint Designer has created a code that is exactly identical with the marks. Okay? Okay. Let us do this first. Let us do this first, because this task already appeared many times before in web authoring. Set the default target window to _ if a new web page is opened from within this web page. Okay, let us go back to our friend, our deep friend in the design. Right click, page properties. There is something here called default target frame. Okay, click on that button and see. If you select new window, you will see that the target setting will be _ If you don't get exactly the same code you want, you may copy it. This is _ okay, and click OK, and click OK, and go to the code. See, please study this. Base target equal _ and this is exactly as the mark scheme. Okay, let us go now to the last task. Actually, it was the first, but I'm keeping it for the last. The character encoding, set the character encoding to ISO whatever. Unfortunately, I looked for every place in SharePoint Designer, and there is no way that SharePoint Designer can create that code for you. Okay, let us have a look at, actually here in the design, right click, page properties. I cannot. Even if I create another tag, it will not. Page language, I don't think. Set encoding is not in here either. Set encoding, I don't think. It is related something to that, but you would rather just memorize them. Okay, let us cancel and go to the code. The code here at the top, meta, HTTP, I don't know, whatever. And this is char set equal UTF. Okay, let us change this to be exactly as this code. Meta char set equals, I can zoom in for you. Meta char set equals double quotation. Okay, so I go here and get rid of all this. I have char set equals. Also remember to remove that slash at the end. Okay, now SharePoint Designer is totally unhappy with what I'm doing, actually, because it just cannot understand this advanced coding. Just put in here between quotation, instead of that UTF-8, put the required code that is ISO-. Okay, so just create this yourself. Just create this. Learn to write codes. Learn to write codes. Okay, so that's it. I think it wasn't that difficult. So just use this mark scheme as your source for studying right now, because this is the best resource we have regarding the new syllabus. Okay? Okay. Okay, we did all that. Place a copy of your HTML source in your evidence document. Okay. You may wish to copy everything. I don't mind. But actually, in the mark scheme, they only had a copy of head, end of head. This is what was in the mark scheme. It's okay. Right click, copy, and go to your Word. You just press another few enters, and here you paste. Okay. And save. And that's it. At the end of the exam, print the evidence document. When you print this, the examiner will see your name in the header. That was the 6 marks code for the CSS, and that was the 22 marks code for the HTML. Okay, that's it with the exam for this time. Thank you so much.